Games, board games, board games. I might be talking about board games, but I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing. And today you might not see me dance, and today you might not see me prance, but I'm going to talk about experience. Or yes, I'm going to talk about how it's always good to have experience. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. 10 a.m. is UK time for Busy Beats and Board Game Leather. And today's going to be a very quick show, just where I talk about experience is always good. And this is from a Reddit post. I mean, I joined a Reddit thread, and some of the posts are people just showing off, saying, hey, look at my stuff. And that's great. I mean, people want to show off, people want to get validation. That's totally cool. I get it. Some of the posts are, hey, can you help me? And like, sometimes people help. Sometimes it's someone saying, hey, here's some idea I've got, or here's a thing that I wrote that will maybe help you, which is obviously nice. And yeah, I think there's a lot of. So it just felt like another place to be to check that I know what I'm doing, which was when I was starting to make my deck construction game. Anyway, so I've remained there. Someone asks a few questions, talking about going back and forth and saying, am I doing something wrong? Would experience help? Is that why I'm struggling? And look, I'm not going to say experience is going to make you the best designer ever necessarily, but of course experience helps. Hello, Timmy. I hope you're generally well. And would you agree with my main thesis that experience can do nothing but help? I mean, sure, there's a potential of picking up some bad habits, but as long as you're doing something repeatedly with continued thoughts and continued thinking about what's going on. Oh no, I understand you just get here when you type in H. I understand that's you saying hello and you're just getting here. But the whole thesis is just that, experience helps. That's the entire thing, no matter what. But let me take a step back, and I'm just getting to the regular section of recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. Now I'm sitting here because I want to show you I got this thing from the USA. And whilst, anyone watching in North America, whether you're USA or Canada, it might not be so exciting. But I got the spiciest thing that I could tolerate. Let's put it that way. I have had a spicier curry. I've obviously had, a bite of a chili and didn't go, whoa, I wish I hadn't done that. But this is the spiciest thing that I can tolerate. I mean, I've had a curry where it was from Iceland, and myself and a few others agreed, yeah, this is just ridiculous. And I finished the thing, but with an entire big pot of yogurt and a cucumber and rice. And Timmy says, yeah, I like experience, although sometimes I think I fake it a bit and then pick it up along the way. And yeah, that for sure, you don't have to if you don't have experience, don't let that hold you back. Don't say, oh no, I'm not going to do the thing because I don't have experience. Because obviously that's how you build experience. Like, do your thing. But yeah, let's get back to that in just a moment. I want to talk about these crisps. So, Carolina Reaper, extra hot, flaming fresh, family made in the USA, hers. And as you can see, these are kind of like Wotsits. And yeah, there's so many things. I mean, about 7 servings per container. I mean, I had 4 servings out of this maybe. So 7 times 150, that's 1,050. So that's 1,050 calories for the bag. Yeah, lots of fat. But yeah, we've got cornmeal, vegetable oil, contains one or more of the following: cheese blend, whey, sunflower salt, malted extra salts, lactic acid, all sorts of things. It's like just skimming past the seasoning is salt, spices, garlic powder, onion powder, sugar, paprika, and then at the end, Carolina Reaper chili powder. And they've misspelt chili powder. Look at that. Carolina Reaper chili powder. I mean, that's not how you spell chili. Anyway, this was super spicy. I'm not going to say that I'm going to make it a regular thing, especially when the bags are this big. And it did cost me like £5. But last week I treated myself, and the other thing that I bought was ghost pepper from the same company, hers, hot. So as you might know, it's interesting because, and these ones are crinkle cut, so a completely different texture. They tasted more peppery. They tasted more seasoned. The other one, the cheese, obviously offsets the chili somewhat, I would say. This one felt a bit more spicy. And both of them, I'm not going to lie, were spicy enough that they kind of gave me digestive issues. Yeah, let's just leave it at that and not get into details. But yeah, I think that's definitely a recent highlight yesterday. Um, and that was, yeah, do you like spicy things? I'm curious. Do you like super spicy things? I've got to admit, I am tempted by extreme tastes, but then so often I regret it. Anyway, the other thing that actually leads to, and Timmy says, I like hot wings. I mean, compared to hot wings are totally tend to be mild. Um, I need a bag of chips as well, maybe Chilean chili. Oh yeah, I wanted to say, like, it's weird. Carolina Reaper and Ghost Pepper and all of these chilies that it's like, wow, this is the hottest thing that there ever is. But honestly, you don't need it. I mean, it's not like the taste is fundamentally different. I mean, these are genetically grown to be the hottest things ever, but then, I mean, they only use a tiny bit, so why not just use Scotch bonnets and use double the amounts? I mean, they always, it's just doing that for the sake of it. Unlike the one time that I did buy the one limited edition and I understand why it was limited edition, because people are buying that as a novelty, not to have twice, where it was just one long chili, and I was like, wow, this is ridiculous. Um, Timmy says, I like really hot wings, but it hurts the tongue. I mean, I don't know what the hot wings are like in Canada. In the UK, it doesn't get that hot. Not like, but yeah. Let's move on from the thing. And yesterday, I watched a few shows. I got messed around by a guy, and I was thinking, you know what, when someone says in a comedy or in whatever, oh yeah, I keep chasing this person, I keep doing this, it's portrayed as, hey, this is something that's romantic, or hey, this is something that will bring about success potentially. And it's problematic because it's kind of symptomatic of a bigger issue. And I made this post on my Facebook, and you can see it if you log in. I mean, it's a public post. Someone got very argumentative, then started insulting me. I asked, like, why are you saying this? I tried to be reasonable, and they ended up blocking me, then unblocking me to tell me to buy a book, like a specific book, to which I responded, well, ask me to buy a book is a bit of a big ask, and you're yeah, what exactly is it about this book? Is it a book of comedy, or is it a book of about comedy? Because I'm honestly not understanding, and there's only 2 written reviews, like just 2 Amazon reviews and nothing on Goodreads or anything that I could find. And then they reblocked me, and after deleting all their comments. So they clearly, I guess, were ashamed of what they'd written. So I shouldn't take it to heart. But the key thing is that years ago, 10 years ago, I think I would have taken that way more to heart. And I'm not going to say that I wasn't affected, because obviously I'm talking about it and it inspired this talk. But it feels like I've gotten to a place in my life where I can say, you know what? Is it me? Hmm. No, I don't think it is. Okay, let's move on. And having a bit of confidence, because sometimes experience can give you that confidence. And sometimes experience teaches you when to listen to people and when not to listen to people. And sometimes experience can gives you greater understanding of the people around you. I mean, I try to be empathetic, and I think that empathy, if you want to make art, like games or comics or whatever, it is a form of communication. So you kind of have to understand not only what you're doing and not only be skilled at this, but also be empathetic about what other people are doing. And I would say even more so in games, because whereas comics are for the most part, a non interactive medium. Yes, people fill in the gaps with their own mind. Yes, you need to learn how people read comics and make sure that your panels are in the way that makes sense. Yes, you need to understand what people are going to assume and infer and the connotations of words and pictures. But with a game, especially a board game where people can get the rules wrong, I mean, in a video game, at least the computer is enforcing all the rules. But in a board game, you've got the audience as almost the collaborators. They are almost bringing as much to the game as the designer. And so empathy is absolutely of vital importance. And sure, you can bring in a lot of skills from outside, whether that's marketing at your game or understanding of psychology. And for sure, you can kickstart it, like your design understanding by listening to podcasts, I mean, I hope that a couple of my videos have helped. If they're on YouTube, there's like a whole series of me with Alan Paul, Matthew Dunstan, and Rita Modal. And for sure, it's, you can bring it into skills, but just doing the thing over and over is really useful. Now let's talk about brilliant thing, what's a little thing which is brilliant. I'm going to say learning from your actions, examining yourself, introspection, because experience isn't just doing the same thing over and over and over. Experience is doing the thing, considering whether it went well or badly, making changes. When you draw, a lot of this happens subconsciously. You'll look at your drawings and say, "Oh, I like that bit. Oh, I didn't like that bit. Oh, that was a good line. Oh, that didn't quite work so well. Oh, I mean, these are all just sketches, but I can see, yeah, this one, the eyes don't quite work because it's asymmetric and it blurred together. And like, I see my art instantly and I notice it and I think about it. And in the same way, when we've got day to day, we can build experience in life. We can build experience in board games, but it's about the introspection and consideration. Now, as always, please do comment, ask questions from like follow. I really appreciate the conversation that sometimes happens, and I love the back and forth. And if you've got any questions, I always reply to all the respectful questions. Um, and Timmy says, my cool thing right now is Tylenol. Oh, because my head hurts and I'm gonna pop one in a minute. Lots of love, and I hope that your um, head hurts less very soon. Lots of love. But so yeah, talking about experience, let me just read out what I wrote to someone. Experience does help. Look, when I started my last game, it was a lot easier than when I started my first. So I'm now better able to imagine the ramifications of the initial rules. So I can think about how people will act and what they will actually do and what doubling this number, or I'm able to get things in the ballpark. I have a better understanding of how players will react because I've seen them play my games and seen them play so many games and just watched them and studied them, gained better empathy. I can better calculate the maths. So, yes, I'm probably a slightly better gamer than when I put in the efforts. And yeah, for sure, if I can think about the probabilities, I understand that, and I can think about, okay, if this is worth this, and I've gotten some shortcuts where I can say, okay, a card is generally worth half, and if drawing two cards is worth one, then drawing or two, then drawing three cards should be maybe worth two or three. I don't know, but because obviously it's the card doesn't replace itself. I can better understand the ramifications of changes, and also I'm more confident about that. And I can understand, okay, that change is going to affect that, and I can better. I've gone through lots of problems. I can see, yes, this is going to be too complex. I mean, my first game was way too complex, and I needed. I went for high granularity. I said, okay, points can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 10 seems reasonable. Let's put that as a top limit. And now it's like, you know what? We don't need that in a simple game. Let's just call it 1, 2, or 3. That's good enough. Um, and I think that understanding how players are going to react, understanding what players want, I can better consider feedback. Like when people are giving feedback, are they my target audience? And why are they making this suggestion? Is it because they really want that suggestion? Or is there something else that's not quite coming through? Like if someone says that a card should cost a lot more, is it that they think that the card is unfair? Is it that they think the card actually just shouldn't be in the game? Is it that they felt sad when the card happened? Is it that maybe the card should have more warning? Maybe you should put it down and then it takes a turn before it takes effect? Because what they suggest is maybe one idea. And also, then, are they part of the target audience? Because if I'm working on a party game about dexterity, or if I'm working on an auction game and I take the feedback of someone who does not like auction games, okay, maybe I make it better for someone who doesn't like auction games, but that's not my target audience. I'm making a game about auctioning cubes after winning an auction to be the auctioneer. And so yeah. And what is this a criticism of my core rules? Do I need to change the core rules? Or is it something that I could consider it later? Is it something that could be addressed by the cards? Is it about the content? Is it about the people? Is it just a is it just them? Is it just the playthrough? And sometimes don't change things based on every single. Honestly, I would say that nowadays I listen to everything, but what do I act on? I act on maybe I act on a percentage of what people suggest, a percentage I don't, a percentage I throw out and I say that's just not the kind of game I'm making for today. Morning, Black Sheep, lovely to see you. And um yeah, I think experience of taking feedback allows me to be better at understanding where people are coming from. So, yes, I think there's a degree of sorting out the core structure before you work out the details, but you need some details to be in place before you playtest, and knowing where to put your energy and how to balance these things at various stages and how to keep a strong vision, because you have to be the leader of your vision, is also part of experience. You learn all of these things. Practice, I believe, can only help. I mean, each game gives you experience. Everything you do gives you experience. Each game you make, each game you work on, even if it isn't released. And I think that's the core thing that I'm trying to get across. When you work on your first thing, don't be too bothered. Don't feel like, okay, I'll keep working on this, and eventually it'll be great. Start your game, work on it. Eventually, you'll be like, okay, it's good, or maybe, oh, it's okay, it's good, but maybe not worth publishing. Work on another thing. Work on a third thing, and a fourth thing, and a fifth thing, and a 10th thing. I mean, I think I had Let's say, ev- like the first version of In a Bind or Yogi was completely unrecognizable. But even if we count all those permutations as one, um, I worked on I, I worked on several Flash games back in the day, but I also worked on about 7, 8 board games, card games type things before I started working on In a Bind. And I'm not saying you need to do that. Everyone's path is different. Everyone's path is different. And I'm not saying this is the way to do it. But don't feel like you have to make your first thing your life's work. And yes, it's not like everyone's got one novel in them. I don't believe that. I don't believe that everyone has one novel and then the second one isn't going to be as good. I believe the opposite. I believe that if you wrote a novel, your second one would probably be better because you've got experience. I believe that if you made a game, your second one would probably be better. And I believe the same about songwriting. I believe the same about painting. I believe everything is a craft. Yes, some of it's inspiration. Yes, some of it's having the idea, but some of it's being able to judge the ideas, what's good, what's bad. It's not just about the overall idea, it's about the tiny snippets of the idea. It's the details matter. And that's the kind of thing that you realize with experience. And that's pretty much it. If you've got any comments or any follow-up stuff, then I'll answer. Otherwise, and Mike says you can always come back to the first thing after tinkering with the ninth thing. Yes, absolutely you can. And on the other hand, sometimes you realize, you know what, that first idea, it was all right. It wasn't the greatest. Move on to new stuff. And that's totally okay. Even nowadays, some of my games are not as good as the other things, and that's okay. Some of them I ponder and then I realize, no, that wouldn't be great. And some of them I playtest, and then it's only at that point that I realize, it's good. It's not great. Yeah. So yes, this is a slightly different camera. That's where I normally sit. And yes, thank goodness for modern drugs. Which reminds me, I still need to take my pills for today. I will do that straight after this. But yeah, thank you for being here, and let me ask the question of the day. Question of the day. Here's a little question before we go on our way. My question of the day is, you know what? I just realized maybe I could. I was going to ask, what's the last game you finished? Yeah, like just the last board games that you played or whatever. But if you are if you're playing turn based, then it only counts if you finished it. I think one of them was definitely photosynthesis. I played 2 games of photosynthesis, so I'm playing games just to play through everything. I think I've got basically everything on the go, and I did find one that I actually really like. I've got a physical copy of it. I might sell it just because of my ensuing move. Photosynthesis, a lovely game where an abstract, perfect information abstract, really vicious, placing trees, blocking the light of the other trees. Any trees that are in not shadowed give you light points, and the light points allow you to grow more trees, grow more trees, grow the trees, grow the trees, and then eventually at the end of the game, or whenever you run out of the super big trees, you start um, killing your big trees. It's kind of a bit sad, but then that's how you get points. And I played it, and then someone else for a game of Homesteaders, because they were really excited by it, and then we played 2 games together. Where the first game I just clicked randomly, and then they started really saying, "Oh, by the way, can I help you? Can I?" And then they started giving me tips. I started actually paying attention, and then we ended up playing a second game. And I said, "Well, thank you very much for that. You're obviously much better than me, but yeah, I did a wee bit better the second time. I've got a vague understanding of it." They asked me what I enjoyed. I said, "Well, I've enjoyed photosynthesis." We played the second time, and now I'm just really addicted to it. Addicted is a strong word. So I've got 2 other games on the go, and I just love the growing your engine, the slight, aha, I'm blocking other people. And I'm wondering, would I enjoy it as much if I was losing? Because there is definitely a slippery slope. And at a certain point, maybe I would just be, okay, maybe I'll concede, maybe I'll see it through and then learn from this game and then I'll analyze it. But there's a really interesting strategy. And because there's zero luck, I love zero luck games. It just means that I've got something to analyze. So what is the last game you um finished? Um Mike says Too Many Bones is the last game you finished, or Backgammon on Board Game Arena. And Stretch, I will do that in just a moment. But yeah, so actually, you know what? I should have asked another question. I'm going to allow myself to ask one more question. My other question is going to be, what do you think you are experienced in? And my mind went somewhere kind of yeah. But yes, what that you're willing to share do you think you're experienced in? I would say I'm experienced in drawing, illustration. I would say I'm experienced in playing games. I would say I'm experienced in making games. Those are the main things that I would say that I've got better than average experience in. And I've got a tiny bit of experience in pole dancing. I mean, I'm better than someone who's never done it at all, but at the same time, not that good. But what do you think you're experienced in? Blow your own trumpet. Tell us. Do you think that you're experienced in making lasagna? Do you think you're experienced in running? Or do you think you're experienced in um, writing random songs? Yeah, basically, what do you think you have experienced in? Dealing with the general public, that's a good one. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely feeling more experienced because I've worked in retail. I've yeah, working how long did I work in retail? Yeah, several years for supermarkets, um, serving food to people, serving food to people in a different way and teaching board games in a board game cafe. And of course, nowadays when I go to, yeah, conventions, but yeah, dealing with the general public, I mean, that's a bit more than me. I'm probably of the order of seven, something like that. I don't know. But yeah. Timmy says, I'm fairly experienced in Unreal. Yeah, Unreal Engine. Like, the more you program, the better you become. Like, but presumably, when you feel like you've learnt more now than when you started, that's all I'm saying, right? And can I just get to heck yeah? I mean, if you agree that experience matters, can we just get a heck yeah in the comments? And if you're like, sure, maybe, then like just get to thing. But do you agree that experience matters? Like, just write your comment, please. And yeah, then we'll wrap it up. So please write in your comments, and you're allowed to say no, I'm not sure about this, or heck yeah, or maybe, or whatever. Just do you think experience helps you? And just because I think that there can be like sometimes some people assume that some things are just a God-given talent, and that's not healthy. I mean, if you're not good at illustration, it doesn't mean you're never going to be good at illustration. It just means that you're not good at illustration now. If you're not good at game design, it just means you're not good at it now. And you could develop all of these skills. That's what I'm saying. So, Timmy says, it's good that I know quite a few systems, but there's always new features that are added, and I don't know much about those yet. Sure, and that's stuff that you don't have experience of. Um, Mike says it's all matters. The more you do a thing to build confidence. Yeah, 100%. So let me go over to you. What are you up to? You can share button if you want to. Is there something that you want to share? Please do. I promise that I care. Whether it's something you need to do or something that you want to do. I often try to take Mondays to be a day off, but Saturday and Sunday I also had a day off, but I'm allowed to take days off. The one thing that I am going to do today, before I officially clock off is write a schedule for um, aircon. I'm going to write a schedule for aircon, and yeah, what's the date? I also need to pay up for Daisini, which I'm going to, and possibly book an Airbnb to go to Norwich. Yeah, that might be helpful. I'll look. Um, but I am going to try and head out. There's a club type thing, a daytime thing. I mean, it's like going and socializing with people, and so I'm going to go there as soon as I can. Stay there until, I mean, as long as I'm enjoying it, which usually means until 7 when it finishes, and then yeah, come home. But yeah, that's going to be the highlight. That's the thing I'm looking forward to doing. And then the thing that I have to do is writing the schedule for aircon because I've got a bunch of people helping me, and I do owe it to them to, yeah, do that. So, Mike has a lazy day planned playing board game arena games. I hope you have a lovely day. And um, if you want to shoot me an invite for a game of couple or photosynthesis, I will gladly accept. But I won't play quickly. I typically take one move a day on average, I would say. Some days I take a few. I mean, some days, sometimes I skip, a couple of days. But yeah. Timmy says I'm gonna sleep and then gets up and go to the office. I hope that everything's going well at work. And it's negative 16 outside. Wow. I'm that kind of temperature. I imagine like even the exposed bits, like the eyes, like imagine this bit getting really cold. I imagine you're wearing something that covers your mouth and you're wrapping up super warm, but you still potentially get frostbites if you stay outside too long. That sounds horrible. I do not envy you. Lots of love. But for now, um, recap and wrap up before we finish up. So to recap and wrap up, um, yeah, I talked about crisps. These are super spicy. They are right at the limit of what I could tolerate. The Carolina Reaper, this was more cheesy than spicy, I would say. Like the cheese offsets the spice quite a bit, even though the little how hot it is right to the end. And then the other one, as you can see, there's a little, it's not quite right to the end, but this one actually feels spicier. It's more peppery, and the ridge cut doesn't offset the spice as much as it did on the other one. And also, when you're using such a minute amount, it doesn't matter whether it's ghost pepper or Carolina Reaper. It's just you might as well use Scotch bonnet and use extra. It's just a weird marketing thing. But fair enough, it got me to buy it. And it's like, hey, we are really going for it. Um, I talked about how experience really does matter and how it's not just about doing the thing, but it's about considering, like pondering introspection, and introspection is a brilliant thing. We talked about Tylenol and modern drugs and how that's went for the headaches. Talking about experience, I talked about imagining ramifications, empathy, building that, better mathematical understanding, um, considering what changes will do, and also considering the feedback, because dealing with the public and dealing with what people are saying, like building an understanding of people, I think is the biggest skill that can probably help in any medium, but especially in board games where your audience is almost a co-creator because they affect the experience at the table so much. And then knowing how to sort out the core structure before the um, details, but then you still want to have enough of the details to matter, and knowing that you can just have enough to play one turn, and yeah, knowing all the shortcuts you can do. And then we talked about things that were experienced, and I raved about photosynthesis, and yeah, don't think I missed anything. Um, Mike says, yeah, negative 16 is a bit chilly. That's kind of the understatement of the century. Yeah, and I know I was exaggerating. It's- But I need to move to the sun. I want some chips now. Yeah. Sorry for making you hungry. I'll hope you don't mind, and yeah. But lots of love. And of course, as always, if you want to check out my future streams, then check out stuffbybed.com/streams. Tomorrow will be a quick solo show again, and then Wednesday with Jessica Mederingham, Thursday with Steve D. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Friday, a quick show as I run off somewhere. Saturday, Sunday, talking to Amar and Pearl from Cake of Doom. And oh yeah, the next week's fairly packed with Adam Best and then Aircon and then sealed bid auctions with Alan Paul, and then I'll be at Aircon and I'll do some quick shows there. I'm looking forward to Aircon. I am feeling a little bit, yeah, there's a little bit of anxiety, but I'm sure it will be good. There's a little bit of, oh, will it be good? I want it to be brilliant. Will it be brilliant? It'll be good. It'll be fine. I mean, I've done it before, and as we've talked about, experience helps. So, to everyone, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the chats. I really appreciate you lending me your ears and giving me your time, because time is just such a wonderful gift. And it's not just about being there, but it's about, responding and your presence. And I really appreciate that today. Thank you for that. It really makes it worth doing this. If you felt like this added anything to you, if you feel like this is something other people would enjoy, then please do share, spread the word. And as usual, I think there's pretty much only one thing left to say. And Mike, thank you very much. It's lovely of you to say, and lots of love, and bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, bye, Timmy. Bye, bye, everyone. Bye, bye, Mike. Take care of yourself. Bye, 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 bye. Lots of love. Bye, bye.